Welcome to the 21st Century Project webinar series. These webinars are designed for participants of our long-term training course in coaching and members of our partner organizations across Europe. We explore the benefits and unique characteristics of innovative organizational management tools and approaches. This project is proudly supported by the European Commission within the Erasmus Plus program.
So, as in the email it was written, today we are going to focus on how to agile in your NGO. Still, your NGO means maybe your organization, maybe your community, maybe your group of friends who are active in the initiative, maybe your business. So don't worry. And we are going to focus on practical agile strategies for youth organization. But before that, as I told you, let's summarize. And what does it mean? That very shortly about introduction to Agile. We are talking about, okay. Yeah, very shortly about introduction. Definition, Agile is a project management methodology, very well known. It's here with us for some quite a long time. And unlike traditional rigid approaches, maybe you have memory of waterfall we mentioned. Agile focuses on breaking projects down into smaller parts. Adam, I think he mentioned sprints. This is one of the method, one of the tools. We are talking about more manageable tasks which are completed in these kind of sprints, in these cycles. The goal is constantly adapt and improve, and we are responding to the feedback and changes as they arise through the whole part, through the whole cycles, through the whole projects. So maybe you still remember this waterfall, which is all about opening, planning some parts, finishing, done it, wrap it up, the first sequence, and then moving on to sequence number 2. Plan, do it, wrap it. And then sequence number 3. This is waterfall. In Agile is different. We are talking about the sprints, about the cycles. We are constantly adapting, constantly improving. And our teams, they are aiming to deliver functional results more quickly, in the sense that we are receiving this feedback and we are refining the process based on real-time input, which allows us to have, in the end, the outcome which is ready to go. History, Agile, as I told you, is with us for quite a long time. It was actually, it's a very nice story, by the way, and very funny, because it was a group of people, friends, who decided, okay, let's go for a ski trip in the USA. And during this ski trip, I think maybe also they had some bartender like we had in High Tatras, but they decided, okay, let's write manifesto. Maybe you remember during the first webinar, we went through this manifesto because it set out core principles focused on delivering not only the outcome, but also value about the product, value about the environment, and value about the people, about the colleagues, about the team. And of course, adapting to change. And although Agile started in tech industry, because these people going to skiing, they were from tech industry, its core principles were adapted across a range of sectors, including us, including NGOs, including education, and even government projects as organizations recognize the value of more interactive and flexible approaches in project management. And why we have this Agile webinar in our project, why it is important that we check also this column. Even though that NGOs, we operate in kind of a complex, and somebody would say we are in bubble, and definitely in unpredictable environments, we need to respond to changes very often, and it's quite regular adaptation, because we have donor and they have requirements. Then we have urgent community needs, and definitely they still and often change. And NGOs, us, we must be nimble and adaptable to be adaptable in this sense for unpredictable environment changes. So Agile offers a solution by enabling teams to work more flexibly, empowering the whole team, the whole group, and definitely shifting resources and priorities when it's necessary, in the sense that because we are receiving the feedback, because we are non-stop checking, because we are working in this process of these sprints, we are shifting our resources and we are changing priorities because we are always adapting and adjusting to the needs. So for us, being agile in NGO is quite natural, I would say, especially because we have these small is very kind of, let's see, achievable goals are set and mostly, and they should be delivered. So it helps ensure that even with constraints and with some progress, that progress is actually made. So Agile also encourages us to receive this feedback from beneficiaries, from stakeholders, from our colleagues, from the environment as itself. And it reminds us to be effective and responsible, no matter what is happening and no matter how uncertain or dynamic the environment may be. Clear a bit more what is Agile? Any questions? I cannot see you. So if you have also during the presentation question, just shout, just stop me, it's okay. So about the core Agile principles. I put on the presentation just some which kind of are based also on NGO world and NGO principles, like this general. But in this manifesto, you can find the principles which are still, even 20 years ago, but even now, still significant. And Agile is based on a set of guiding principles that prioritize flexibility, collaboration, and delivering value. That's why we are talking about it in NGO, where the ability to adapt and respond to dynamic environments is crucial. This is what we kind of craving, what we do, that we are always checking the needs of our target groups, of our beneficiaries, stakeholders, and trying to fulfill them, trying to support them to fulfill them. So let's go one by one. Individuals and interactions over processes and tools. So this principle emphasizes that people and their interactions are more important than rigid processes or tools. In our NGO setting, collaboration is the key, not just with the team. We are not talking only about the team or of the group colleagues, of the group people, but also with our partners, with our communities, with our stakeholders. We are living in the system. We are not living by own, just us. We are always somehow connected. So if one change appears in our environment, in our own small bubble, this change also impacts the change or connection on the other side, on the other bubble, on the other stakeholder, on the other target group. And Agile encourages open communication and cooperation. So that allows teams to adapt and innovate more effectively. So these changes can impact, and definitely they are impacting each other, bubbles and circles, but the process can be more smooth and can be effective and can be progressive. For NGO, this means fostering a culture where ideas are freely exchanged, or we are talking about flexibility in roles, flexibility in tasks. We can be more creative, we can have more practical solutions. Maybe from your reality, you know that sometimes you are working on administration, sometimes maybe you are leading or coordinating some local activity. And it's because you decided that you want to build this competence, or you decided that, okay, this is something I want to try. And Agile and also NGO environment allows that. The second principle is working solutions over comprehensive documentation, which is kind of tricky because, yeah, sometimes you have beneficiaries and stakeholders and they requires to have this quite heavy administration. But in traditional project management, yes, you can find it even more to have detailed plans, to have step-by-step reports, even before the work is done. Agile kind of flips this whole idea, and we are talking about prioritizing, delivering working solutions quickly, even though they are not perfect yet. So we are talking that where resources may be scarce and needs often urgent, delivering small functional pieces of work regularly, is more effective than waiting for a perfect solution. Sometimes, you are just pushed to the water and you need to swim. In NGO world is happening quite a lot, unfortunately, because you still, and you should have some mentor, you should have some job shadowing. But it's true that sometimes you are just there trying. Even though that you kind of gather the needs of the whole community, you are trying to find out the solution, how to fill them, how to support the whole community. So you are trying. And then you find out, okay, it's not working because, and then you find out that because there are not roads, so the cars cannot deliver the material, or there are not schools who can open the classes for your workshop because of municipality, I don't know. So these changes appears, and then you're adapting and adjusting the plan and trying to figure it out the things. So this principle encourages teams to focus on what works now, knowing that they can refine and improving along the way. The third pillar, customer collaboration over contract negotiation. Agile places strong emphasis on continuous engagement with people you are serving, whether they are beneficiaries, funders, or communities. And in the NGO world, this principle translates also into maintaining a close relationship with the communities you work with. Maybe your target group is young people, maybe need community, or donors or other stakeholders. And rather than sticking strictly to predefined agreements or plans, Agile encourages constant communication and adjustment to ensure that what you are delivering meets the real and evolving needs of those you are trying to help. So always checking, adjusting, delivering, checking, adjusting, delivering. And then the fourth principle, responding to change over a following plan, which is we are quite happy to have this pillar in the NGO world. So one of the cornerstones of the Agile is its flexibility to respond to change. And while traditional project management often relies on fixed plans and timelines, so okay, till the end of December, we need to do this and this and this. And when this is done, then we can move. So from January, we are working on that and that. Yeah, this typical waterfall planning and method. In Agile, we recognize that real life is happening, especially with our communities, especially in our NGO. So we rarely follows a predictable path and predictable plan, even though that maybe it's written. That's why when we have a report after some activity, we have quite a long section where we are writing, okay, even though that the plan was this, we did that. And it's because that, unexpected crises are happening and we need to adapt quite quickly. And Agile principle, Agile method, Agile approach is helping us to do it. And it's quite easy. So maybe you remember this picture where we were talking about the sprint. One circle is one sprint where we review, we test, we build, we design, and then we launch, and then we wait, because then we have a feedback, we are testing again, implementing the feedback, we are building, designing, and launching, and let's see if it will go in the way that everybody is satisfied, everybody is happy, everybody kind of is fulfilling our needs, especially in this sector, or not. So we need to adjust quite quickly and rapidly. Usually one sprint, this kind of testing, it's from 2 weeks till 1 month. Why it's kind of in this short period is that what we need to achieve is to launching constantly, to have outcome, to work on something, So we can go through this sprint and stakeholders are happy, beneficiaries are happy, but also the team is constantly kind of going through the circle, knowing that, okay, when we launch, we have quite time for ourselves. So, okay, we can breathe again, and then again, and then again. Is it clear? Are you nodding your heads up and down? Hopefully. So talking about how Agile can benefit, or how NGO can benefit from Agile. So as I mentioned, the Agile methodology offers a range of benefits for NGOs, helping us to navigate complex, resource-strained, and rapidly changing environments by improved responsiveness, and it means quickly adapt to shifting priorities or crises. It means that priorities can shift unexpectedly due to changes in funding, due to political environments, welcome in Slovakia, or community needs. They are not completely, but they are, changing, shifting all the time. And whether it's responding to an emergency situation or sudden policy change or new opportunities, Agile helps us to stay nimble, to stay, focused, to be ready for these changes. So these iterative cycles, these sprints, Agile allows teams to continuously raises and adjust their projects as a new information on or challenges arise. So we can pivot quickly and delivering immediately impact without waiting for long and drawn out project cycles to finish. So, for example, if a humanitarian crisis unfolds, NGO using Agile can rapidly relocate resources and shift focus without being even bogged or down or by rigid plans or procedures. Unfortunately, example is now in our countries, in Austria, Czech Republic, and Slovakia, with the floods, with the heavy rain. Villages are under the water, people need help. So of course, NGOs, humanitarian NGOs, they are not going to, okay, we have a plan, we need to write a plan, we need to check our resources, but no, because they are on this kind of agile scale, agile approach, they rapidly adapt and they rapidly, okay, so maybe we can take this budget and because people need us, we can shift it immediately. So the next day, okay, we have cars which can move people from these villages to the safety. The next step or the next principle would be better resource allocation. So small iterative steps allow for frequent reassessment of how resources are used. In our world, in our NGOs, we operate with really limited resources. And I mean also financial resources, but also human resources. We don't have 20 colleagues, we don't have budget who is unlimited, but it must be highly strategic how we work and definitely how these are deployed. So what Agile does is that Agile's iterative approach allows organization to break projects into smaller pieces and frequently evaluate progress. This allows us to shift. So these regular reassessments helps NGOs make real-time decisions. So what needs to be done right now, right here, what is needed about investing time, investing money, about personnel, or to maximize impact. Because we see this situation right here, right now, and we have the feedback which tells us how is the situation. Then number 3 is team empowerment, encourages teamwork and leadership at all levels. Agile encourages a flat collaborative team structure where everyone is actively involved in decision making. Sometimes, and I'm not big fan of saying like, yes, in our NGO, we are big family. We like each other. Good. It's good that you like each other, and good that you have this feeling, that you have this community feeling. But of course, when they say, okay, we don't have a president, we don't have leader in our NGO, this is kind of, yeah, it cannot be true, because every NGO, every group of people, every group needs a leader. So every NGO needs a leader, because Agile empowers all team members to take ownership of their work, contribute ideas, and lead initiatives, but there needs to be one person who says, okay, let's do this. Let's go by, these tools, by these steps. Let's, this person should have this stronger sense of engagement and responsibility within the team. So when the team members feel they are contributed, our contributions are valued, they are more motivated to work collaboratively and definitely creatively to solve the problems. And yeah, that person, that leader can be there also for supporting, for motivation, for valuing the contributions, but also taking risks and taking maybe the stuff which is not doing well, so the person can be responsible. Stakeholders engagement promotes transparency and continuous feedback with the partners, donors, and beneficiaries. For us, for NGOs, maintaining strong relationship with stakeholders, be they funders, beneficiaries, or partner organizations, is essential. Agile places a strong emphasis on frequent communication and feedback, ensuring that stakeholders are actively engaged throughout the project lifecycle. Because yeah, they give us money, they want to know what is happening. So most likely we need to file some reports, write some reports. But of course, these reports are based on the needs, based on the real situation, what is happening. Questions? Is it clear?
There are some thumbs up on the screen.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. It's super weird that I cannot see you, so hopefully, yeah. Thank you very much, Marcos. So, Agile frameworks for NGOs. Here you can see 3 very common and very famous methods. About Scrum, you will have the webinar just about the Scrum. So very just briefly, Scrum is most widely used Agile framework and is ideal for NGO, and maybe you are using it even that you don't know it, because in Scrum, work is divided into short iterative cycles. We name them sprints, and yeah, they usually last between 1 to 4 cycles. And during each sprint, the team focuses on delivering a specific portion of the project with tangible outcomes by the end of the cycle. Key components of Scrum include sprint planning. So of course, at the beginning of each sprint, the team decides what tasks will be completed during the cycle. Then daily stand-up, short daily meetings where team members update each other. In NGO is maybe not daily, maybe weekly, maybe monthly, depends on the project, depends on the activity, depends on the planning. And then sprint review and retrospective, yes. At the end of each sprint, the team reviews, okay, what kind of work was completed, what was improved, what went well, what didn't go well. So it's very useful for NGO, and many NGOs, they work with Scrum. Kanban, maybe you remember, we did it. It's about visualization. I cannot talk, sorry. It's about visualizing workflow and limiting work in progress. So you did it when we were talking about what to do, what is in progress, and what is done. So we did it here in Canva, where you have boxes and you were referring and putting boxes into the correct line. What needs to be to do, so your to-do list, what is in progress, and what is done. We call it also Kanban board. Yeah, in the past, in the webinar number 2, we call it just Canva and to-do task and etc. But Kanban is particularly effective in ensuring smoother workflows, and it reduces inefficiencies because it maintains consistent service delivery. So it's highly adaptable and allows teams to manage both short-term, what needs to be done to do right now, right here, but also long-term tasks while maintaining visibility on the progress of all activities. What is perfect about Kanban, especially when it's done in the group and with people at the same time, that it's visible. What is going on, who is responsible for the task, if I need to divide my work because the workload is crazy and I need somebody else to help me out. And it's also helping for, especially for the people who like to be visual, and they can kind of nicely work when they see some boxes and colors. Lean focuses on eliminating waste and maximizing value. What does it mean? Is that, yeah, this framework emphasizes efficiency and value, and the goal is really to eliminate the waste. And it's any activity that doesn't add value to the organization or its beneficiaries. And it ensures that all efforts are aligned toward the maximizing the impact, that we are going to reach this goal, and we are really, all of us, we are focusing on that, and all our workflow is focused on that. That means that Lean is very special and is very especially helpful for NGOs operating in resource-constrained environments when we have not so many people, we don't have so much budget, and we need to really count every minute and every euro in our project. So the Lean methodology encourages NGOs to streamline processes. So really identify and remove unnecessary steps in workflows to be really kind of rigid. Like, okay, there is our goal, there is our aim. We are not going to do mucho blah blah, working there and there. No, we are aiming to really fulfill this goal because this goal moves us a bit closer to the big aim of the project. Optimize resources, so use time, use money and personnel efficiently. So we are avoiding waste, and focus on value. So ensure that every action contributes directly to the achieving the NGO's mission, the NGO aim or the goal of the project. Have you ever met Lean or Scrum or Kanban, all of you, because we did together, but do you have some experiences with these two?
Some people shaking their head like no.
Okay, so if you did it,
Yes. Yeah.
I really encourage you to check it out. After this webinar, we are going to send you more material also about Lean, and it's very worthy to try in your NGO. So talking about what you've done, what needs to be done. Now it's practical task. So we worked on Agile self-assessment handout. So you will have 15 minutes to complete it. I will send it into our chat. And after 15 minutes, just come back. Okay, and then we are going to do the second half of the task, which is you will be divided into groups. You will talk about what kind of scores you achieved and how to achieve a higher score. So it means sharing tips and tricks in our Canva. But about that, don't worry. Now focus on fulfilling the Agile self-assessment handout. It's quite easy. I will show you, but it's not. I'm gonna do it now. So this is what you're gonna receive. You have some text at the beginning, but then, just reading the questions and answering. And then in the end, you have a score. You have a score where you also will count the points. And then you will just come back and give us some emoticon or hands up, thumbs up. So we will see that you finish. Or Ruchi, be a dear. Okay, so I'm gonna share the file with you. and you have exactly 15 minutes for that. So welcome back, happy people. Are you still happy? Super, good. How was it for you? Firstly, self-assessment. What did you find the most interesting from this handout?
This handout had some software-specific terms in it. CI/CD is especially for running deployments on servers. So that was very weird.
Yeah, we wanted to put it as general as possible so it can apply in kind of range. But yeah, I agree. Some specific terms.
What is CI/CD?
Continuous integration and development. So basically, this is what goes on in web servers and to some extent on apps as well.
Thank you. I found out that we really don't have a backlog. I didn't even know what that is. And then I think I realized because there was product backlog, and I realized we have no product. We have no backlog.
It doesn't
So that was
apply
very
only.
new for me.
It doesn't apply only on product, but also you have product because you are offering something. No, people are, in your case, paying for something.
Well, it's just beginning the NGO, so
Okay.
yeah, so
Yeah, different realities. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Really, we really wanted to put as general as possible, as capture the range, the wider range as possible. So yeah, for some, maybe it's too early to do it. For some, it can be also kind of a compass to navigate how to build the NGO, how to build the relationship, how to approach the whole Agile in our environment. And for the others, it can be a really nice tool for reflection and maybe implementing some changes. Let's see. Let's do popcorn style. Give me some tips and tricks. What did you write there?
Okay, I will go with one of them. For the customer involvement, we agreed that in order to be efficient in gaining feedback from the customers and improve the work we do, it's important to structure the way we collect feedback. I mean, it's not like, time by time you have to think what would be, the way to somehow collect the feedback. It's okay to, of course, innovate it, to change it, but somehow this needs to be organized in a structured way. Otherwise, it's not really very useful to collect feedback if you don't know what to do and how to process the information.
That's right. Absolutely. Also, before collecting the feedback, the nice thing is to ask what I am collecting for this feedback. What is the reason? What is the aim? Helps us also to scheme to structure the questions for the feedback, but also to help us prioritize what is important in the feedback section. Well done.
Thank you.
What else you wrote there? Share some tips and tricks.
So I put, oh, sorry, I was writing, that's why I said I. We put down in iteration and improvement that the group or the NGO should be using some kind of site or chat where people can see other people's improvements or what they're working on, so that they can, so it's very transparent and they can, talk about it. They can give suggestions like Slack, we said, like Slack or Trello, or I don't know, those kinds of things. Yeah.
Yeah. That's really great tip, because not only that the workload is structured, but also people know what the others are doing, and they can be involved in the process by checking or just being tagged.
And it also motivates so that they're not lazy and they they
Yeah.
move on with their work.
Somehow a bit, because in Trello, I'm not sure, because we are using Asana now, but in the past, not sure if it's still there. In Trello, have you finished some task? The unicorn was flying around the screen. That was super nice. So their motivation to finish the task maybe was higher. I'm not sure. Cool. Was it useful? Yes, but yes. Vasily.
We also add on tips more stand-up meetings because reflection is very important. Sometimes end up in very fruitful brainstorming. So it's
Mhm.
very important for the team.
Super. Yeah.
We also add in the improvement parts to divide the workload or the tasks in specific working hours, so people can know that they have this specific time and not just leave it a bit more wider or count it in days, in order to be easier for them to either finalize the task or at least know that they have this time, and if they cannot finalize it, we will go in the next step and we can continue and not just stuck there.
Yeah. To be transparent. Exactly. Super. What do you think, guys, and women and female and everybody else? Why some NGOs, they cannot implement Agile approach in their environment? What stops them?
Because generally Agile is being talked about in the context how it was developed for software development. And whenever people try to use it in the direct way, it will create an endless amount of problems. It has to be adapted for the specific company, specific NGO, specific set of people.
Can you give me an example about the specification?
A specification?
Because you said that it needs to be applied in specific NGO, specific
No, it needs to be adapted.
adapted. Super.
Yes.
An
And
example of how to customize it to NGO reality.
one of the things is that if the NGO, for example, has a very small amount of, or like very small stints of work that needs to happen before some certain event, let's say a few times a year. There was a very good example that I got while we were having a discussion. Then it doesn't make sense to have Agile running in software and server dependencies and so on and so forth all the time. And people try to create meetings and whatnot, and then say Agile sucks. Well, because in that context it does. But if instead there is a specific time frame when the work becomes active before, that is being split into cycles or sprints, and then those cycles can be managed. And the software itself, I'd say secondary, especially on small amount of work, is being managed, or small teams. But stuff needs to be written down, and everybody does need to have access to it. And in that case, this small thing, specially adapted for this place, can be used pretty efficiently for everyone else as well. But people will not understand it's Agile anymore because it's what specifically is useful and needed.
Markus, I missed you.
I love you too. Thank you.
Yes. Well, yeah, there are kind of three major borders why Agile cannot be implemented in NGO. The first one is kind of hierarchy and the usual kind of flow, how it works in our NGO. That, okay, we have one president, we have one chairman, chairwoman, and then, the workflow, it goes from up to down. And to have to kind of conquer this traditional management approach, it's quite, problematic sometimes. So it needs to, this cultural shift needs to happen. And then lack of resources, because Agile also requires to have some tools, to have some investment in this sector. Usually it's connected also with digital tools. And for some NGOs, problematic because we are counting every euro. And then donor expectations. Sometimes we have these stakeholders and donors who they need to have planning. They need to have step by step, and they are kind of looking at us with the crazy eyes when we tell them, like, yeah, let's see, we will do it, and then we will receive the feedback, and then we will change something. So usually these three things are happening, and then very well done, Marcus, because indeed, the Agile approach needs to be adjusted, and this requires project manager in the NGO who understands Agile approach and how to do it, how to customize, so the progress is impactful and kind of significant in our case. Cool. The last thing I'm gonna share the screen is because we didn't work only on self-assessment handout, but also we worked on Agile practice checklist. And this is something, not only with the self-assessment, but also this Agile practices checklist. Okay. Can you see it? Agile practices checklist handout.
Yes.
Super, thank you very much. It's something you can definitely do also in your NGO, also with your people from your community. And what you can find here are also parts of Agile, which are adjusted for some of them, of course, because here you have Jira, for example, but many NGOs, they are using Trello. You have testing, which in our case, it's possible, but then you have CI, CD. So again, it's kind of very general. You need to still adjust in your case, especially because all of us, we are working with different target groups. But what is important is that you can go through this handout to check if it exists in your NGO, if it's visible in your NGO, and then you can go with whole team through reflective questions, which helps you to also evaluate the team, evaluate the work, evaluate the parts you need to improve and you think, but also to find out some gaps, which in this case, for example, are we talking about team alignment or action planning, what you can do better, how you can improve, not only as an NGO, but also part of the projects or projects itself. And then you have the next chapter and it's next steps, where you are going to go through kind of plan. And by reflecting these questions and discussing with teams, you can maybe improve step by step and implement step by step also Agile approach in your NGO. So these two handouts and also recorded webinars will be shared with you after this workshop. And indeed, the webinars will be still continuing. And if you will raise some questions or you will have some doubts or you would like to know more, just don't hesitate to write us. So that's it from my side. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Petra. Yeah, so these were the three webinars on Agile, and as Petra said, you will get the recordings and of course also the whole package of the presentations, the handouts, etc. So you can revisit it and go through it with your team, or if new team members come, to also make a tutorial for them. We still have 15 minutes, and we would love if you could shortly think back of all three webinars, what you remember this whole series, and think a bit what you're taking from it, and also if you have wishes for the next series of webinars. You might have seen that on the Canva board, there is also this kind of tree. And this is the tree of insights. And you have a little legend here, yellow, blue, and red. So the idea is that the tree of insights, it's not about organizational stuff. It's just about really insights and outcomes. The yellow things would be the ripe fruits. So if there are things that you can take from these 3 webinars that are good and useful for you that you're taking, you can write it in one of the yellow post-its. The blue ones are things that are still growing. So there is potential. It's not ripe yet, but there is something, there is a seed, but maybe you need to learn more about it or discuss it more. And red is the fallen fruits, the rotten fruits. They are not useful for you. So things that have simply not been useful for you in this webinar. For instance, I don't need the lean methodology. I don't need Kanban boards whatsoever. And in the thing next to it, this envelope, you can write any other feedback. If you want to leave messages to the team, if you have wishes for the next series of webinar, any other type of feedback you could put there. I would give you just some 4 minutes or so. I'll play a soft song in the background, Marcus, not loud. And that we also know how long time we have. And then we can look at this a bit, and then we'll just say the announcements. So how we go on from here. The link to Canva, I hope you still have it. I stopped screen sharing, not to confuse you. And let's take a little bit of time just to collect your insights, yeah, what was useful, what has potential, and what is a rotten fruit, and if you have any other feedback. And then we just go to the next announcements.